more thing.
I'm going to try and do a live intro with you. I don't normally get them right, so if I do, then I'll edit it out or anything. But I'm going to try and big you up and wrap you up to the One More Thing audience. Yo, what's going on? This is One More Thing. Thank you very much for joining us. I am with a very, very special guest. She has been a battle rapper for almost 10 years. She's from the northeast of England, has recently moved down to Bristol, is part of a full-time member of the Dutty Moonshine Band, a big band as of last year. She's an amazing rapper and a singer. She does an awesome impression of Pikachu, as we learned the last time we met. She is Abi Nyxx, and you're on the Banshee record that we've just released. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. It's an exciting time at the minute. Like, as you know, I've just moved down to Bristol to be in the orbit of Dutty Moonshine Big Band. At the same time, we're doing this Banshee release and launch. So it just feels like a really fast-paced, exciting time for me right now, which has been welcomed after, long winter and all that.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, I was going to get to this a little bit later on, but it does really feel like lots and lots of hard work that you've been putting in is beginning to pay off, really, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
We'll find out about all of that hard work in a minute, but I want to relish in. Oh, no, I don't want to relish in the moment of Banshee. We're going to get to Banshee in a minute. I'm starting the interview. Right, I almost forgot about this. So you're going to get to do this as well. I don't know if you've got a silly question ready or not, but Maria left us a question for me to start this interview with. Have you ever thought about the fact that baked beans are baked?
No, I haven't actually. Like, well, I don't know. In my mind, they're just beans, but I suppose, yeah, they are. They're baked. There's a process.
Yeah. I didn't think of this either. I just thought they were kind of boiled. I know they're cannellini beans. I think they're cannellini beans, or maybe they're pinto beans, but I just thought they were boiled in a tomato sauce. I had no thought or care for the baking process until she suddenly switched that thought on in my head. It's like, wow, okay, mind blown. Are you a baked bean person anyway?
Oh no, I actually had this discussion today with my friend because we went for food and there was beans on the plate, which were unexpected beans. And I'm not a bean person. No, like I could get away with a few beans on the side, but I'm not like mad bean man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally. I like the term unexpected beans as well. Some people are really repulsed by them and stuff. So you wouldn't be doing like a world record to sit in a bath of beans or pour beans over your head or anything like that.
Would you?
If it was for I think for a laugh, I'd sit in a bath of beans. And I'd pour beans on my head. As I've got no hair, so it'd be pretty easy to watch out, really. But it'd have to be for the right cause and stuff, I think, really. I think it's not something I'd ever really considered. So you've got to finish this interview with a question for whoever's going to come next. And it's going to be one of either two fellow MCs, Kafka or Maddie V or the Ruatui guys. How's like the Banshee record this has been the most successful record that One More Thing has released so far. It's doing really well, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the last time I checked, and that was a little while ago, we were just crossing 10K streams over all the platforms that we've released on, which is a huge number for me to comprehend. But I'm so happy with how it's going, and it seems to just be keeping momentum as well, which is good because with all the work that's gone into it, it's nice to see that it hasn't just been a one and done thing. People are really responding to it. It's really nice.
Yeah, totally. It's great. Like it was all of the hard work that you guys had already done on it. It kind of came to me by surprise, really, when Aidan called me up and he had the video made and everything. I mean, this has been such a long kind of process, but I think a really natural one as well for all of you. And it's great kind of hanging out with all of you when we did the demo drop stream and then when we did the launch show, like how natural things are. Certainly between the four of you as the front girls of this band, really, it's the Banshee squad. There's only one record at the moment. It feels like there could be more, but there is a real natural chemistry between the four of you, isn't there, as singers and as MCs?
Yeah, I think it might be to do with the fact that, despite the fact we've all come from different backgrounds and things, we're all sort of similar people and we're doing the same thing. And we've, had different struggles, but a lot of similar ones as well. And yeah, we've always been in each other's orbit. So to finally come together and do this as like a cohesive thing, it was meant to be, I think.
Yeah, definitely. You can really feel that. And I think the message of the music, and as you say, you've all experienced certain challenges to overcome, certainly within the industry. And that's kind of the message of the music, really, isn't it? That's the message of this song is a massive middle finger that you're putting up. And I think certainly the if I was to sum up the vibe of when we were kind of chatting before, there's definitely you've got rage in you and you know how to execute it in a really cool precision way. Rage is important, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. I always see it as like well, one, it's something that everyone can relate to on some level, no matter where it comes from. Everyone's felt that emotion of rage. I think for an artist, it can be the best fuel because it's such an intense feeling. And also for the people that consume and observe the art as well, it's something that they can, it might be a cathartic release because you can direct it towards wider issues, or it can be something that gets it out of you from a more personal place. And I just think, like, strong emotions are always the best place to work from when you're doing something creative, I think. And rage is, for me, because I'm such a restless, nasty bitch, has always been one of the perfect sources of that.
Definitely, I think, yeah, it and yeah, as you say, like you're quite right to like identify the listeners and the people who engage and appreciate the art. That's what you connect with, and certainly, like when you're getting into music at the very start of your musical journey, it's that rage and those strong emotions that kind of make you feel like, right, I'm not alone in the world, really, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. And I mean, in terms of the rage in Banshee, really, it's a massive fuck you to just the old patriarchal values, the chauvinists, the idiots of the industry. What experiences did you draw upon when you were harnessing the fire for your bars in this particular track and just the message of Banshee? Were there any particular incidents that kind of sprung to mind?
Oh, definitely. Obviously, not going to name any names or go
Oh,
too
yeah,
in.
yeah.
But one thing I really like about Banshee and the way that we've done it and the message that it is putting across is that it's kind of layered in a way in that obviously we're talking about what we're talking about in the music, but even the act of us doing this together to me is like a fuck you to the kind of mindset that's been placed upon us in a way, because I don't know about everybody else involved, but I've been compared to a lot of female artists throughout my career, and sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a negative way. But it's like people compare you only because you're female artists, and that feels really reductive, and it can
Yes.
discourage people from working with other female artists. I think if it gets in their head a bit too much, people want to
Yeah.
see each other. But this is not what we're doing at all. It's really like unified, us standing together to say, here we are. We're each good in our own right and each very different, but we can come together to make something amazing.
Yeah, definitely, definitely, like a proper sisterhood, like a proper gang, really, in that way. And I mean, I'm guessing that's what your older track was, female rappers was all about, really, thinking about it. I mean, like, and this isn't part of the questions that I've sent you, but that's exactly what you're talking about in that track, really, there. And the comparisons, that can be really either stifling or daunting or just the wrong type of interference when you're trying to create your own path as an artist, which is in itself as an artist is a very an individualistic thing. You don't want those comparisons and that suffix of female in front of everything. I'm pretty sure it's Kathy, but I'm not too sure. Has recently put up a post saying I'm going to put like a male suffix at the start of things and stuff like that. And I've been really conscientious when doing this record. It's the first time I've ever worked with any vocalist really, let alone like kind of an amazing band of wicked killer MCs. Is making sure that I'm referring to you as the MCs and not as the female MCs in any of the write-ups or anything like that. Because yeah, like why have that suffix? It immediately puts you at a disadvantage, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just, obviously when people are discussing music and artists, there's certain categories that they'll use to describe us. I just feel like that particular box is so reductive and so irrelevant to what we're actually doing that it's always kind of wound me up a little bit. So yeah, I appreciate the conscientiousness.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I appreciate you guys, all of you, as absolute killer MCs. Like, and it's been amazing to see. And you in particular, your roots come specifically kind of, well, your first kind of real endeavors were from battle rap, right? And that's like quite mind blowing in itself because I didn't associate battle rap to come from, or there to be a battle rap scene in the northeast of England. But take us back to your roots because I think a lot of that would also kind of tell the story of your rage as well and why that's part of your signature, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, battle rap is where I first got started. I started doing online battle raps through a platform that's now called Rap Fame, but it used to be called Battle Me. And it was just me, like really young, sitting in my room recording my verses on my phone. And the thing I liked about that was it was like open to American and British audiences, and people could, come at it from either side of the pond. So my opponents could be someone from here or someone from there, and it was really useful to learn different styles and what helps you win for a UK audience and what helps you win for an American audience. And just a really good sort of training ground for me. I've met a lot of artists through that platform that are now going on to do really big things. They put
Wow.
me in the game, which was really cool. And it let me sort of continue to do some league battles as well. And like on the note of rage and things, I feel like that sort of battle rap style, the punchiness, the kind of like snarkiness that I've built up through that, it still comes through my normal verses now. And I think it just gives a unique sort of flavor to it. So I'm really grateful to have had that background.
Yeah, it's a really interesting background for because I mean you were based in Newcastle, but you're originally from quite a small like village really in the middle of Northumberland. Where looking at the map, like slap bang in the middle of the north of England, like as north as you can get, really, isn't it? Between Carlisle and Newcastle. But how did battle rap in particular, like, it's not something that you would associate with the north of England or with somebody from a small village like I am in the South Wales valleys. How did that land into your life to begin with before all of that?
Well, obviously, I was a kid who watched 8 Mile, and I thought that
Ah,
was the coolest thing ever. So I don't even know. Like, I think one day I was sitting in the car and there was like a Plan B instrumental sort of album on the CD player. And I just sat there and started freestyling. And in my head, I could see like a montage of me doing specifically battle rap. And so I was looking for any kind of platform to be able to explore that. And, I found them. Yeah,
go
that's
on, go on. That's amazing. So literally from 8 Mile in that type of way. I mean, how old were you at the time then? You must have been like teens or something like that. Was it slightly older?
yeah, I think I first started, well, I don't know, maybe when I was 16. Yeah, but I didn't really pick up and properly start getting into it until a little bit later on when I was like 19, say. But yeah, been doing it for a long time.
Go on, go on. I saw on one interview where you're talking about, I think it's on I think it was an interview with Narc. It was like yeah, and you did it like a live showcase. But you're talking about it being a very humbling experience as well as a battle rapper and how like run us through some of your experiences which have kind of helped you define your style or toughen you up in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. So big up for checking out that interview, by the way. So
I
with the
really
battle,
like the, sorry to interject, I really like the Messy song and could completely relate to it. Like if I put my camera on my desk, I'm still completely messy and yeah, really super disorganized. As much as I look like I'm on it with the label, yeah, I related to the Messy song in a massive way. But anyway, yeah, tell me about the experiences as yeah, as a battle rapper.
so one of the things that I really love the most about doing battle versus against an opponent is that it's kind of like no holds barred, or it should be, in my opinion.
Mm,
As long as you do it in a way that's clever and not just lowbrow, I think that it's really exciting to know that this is just an opportunity to like tab at it and say what you want about someone and release in that kind of way. And in the same breath, I would love it always when they give that back to me because it just makes me so excited. So there's something humbling about that because you've kind of got to take it in your stride when people are saying certain things. Um, but in that environment, I think it's necessary. I think I've only ever lost one battle, and I've done close to 100. And that could have been a make or break moment for me because, if I'd let it bruise my ego, I might have packed in the whole thing. But
wow.
it was just more of a growth moment because you learn something from everything, especially the losses, I think. Not that I have much experience with losing.
Amazing. That's pretty much an unbeaten record. Where did that loss come within that? Had you had lots of momentum then and lots of wins? Because I think that's really tricky then if you're quite used to winning and then suddenly you need to lose, really, don't you? I think to have that experience, or otherwise, other disappointments later on in your career are going to feel even harder than they are, really, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It was sort of towards the start, but I had been going for a little while, getting the ball rolling. It was in like a battle card, so like a tournament with me and a lot of the other known female female rappers on the platform. So it was really interesting to get to battle them because up to that point I'd only ever battled male opponents, which is kind of like it's a double-edged sword because I feel that when people look at me, they expect it to be like an easy win, which gave me an advantage in a way. But then also it can go the other way as well, where like, you know, I feel because some people just cannot get it through their mind that like, wow, she's actually really good, they won't accept it. Um,
Oh wow, right, okay. That's not fair for you then. So even if you do win in that type of way, there's an edge to it in that type of way.
yeah.
Wow, wow. Well, what took you then? And this is something that I was thinking a lot about when I was listening to a lot of your tracks last night and researching for this interview, is battle rapping kind of primed you for drum and bass, really, didn't it? That double time and that quickness and that essential need for clarity, and landing things in the right place. Like battle rap and drum and bass MCing, they're a lot closer than I'd ever really considered until I was really thinking about asking you about this. But what was your journey into drum and bass? Was drum and bass always kind of running in the background or in your interests anyway?
Well, strangely, I didn't even know about drum and bass. I mean, I'd heard it, but I didn't know what it was until a particular moment, which I'll tell you about. But when I did hear it and recognize it for the first time, it literally felt like a spark inside my soul. So I was having a really, really hard time at college, and it was to the point where I felt so low, and I just missed my train on purpose. I was stranded at the train station, just sitting there with my head in my hands for like hours. And these two guys who I didn't even know found me. They ended up taking me to my first rave, which I know sounds sketchy, but it was great. Um, and I saw the MC that night, and it literally felt like, if you can imagine, the most mind-blowing epiphany of that's what I'm meant to be doing.
Go
And I
on.
they, and now whenever I hear drum and bass, it's like my happy place. It really feels like my bread and butter.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. So, first of all, can you remember who the MC was, or was it a local person that you never got to know the name of? Did you stay in touch with those people who took you to a rave? And I fucking love that because that's like a kind of story that might have come out of the 90s, like where it's like you meet up with some randoms before social media and even phones and stuff, and they take you to a rave. But this couldn't have been in the 90s. You weren't born in the 90s, I would imagine, or if not, you weren't old enough to go to a rave for sure. Yeah. So that like that's a real kind of tale as old as time. I mean, it sounds like a really kind of cool and nice, innocent situation, even though it could be sketchy, especially from a female point of view. But it sounds like they were really sound and totally opened your eyes. So are you still in touch with these people?
We lost touch actually. It was a Mr. Traumatic show that we went to see.
Oh wow,
Um,
okay.
but it was him, and then there was someone on support. I can't remember who it was, but I think it was like local support. Yeah.
Wow, but that was a real kind of moment then. And how did you follow that up? How did you take that further then and start to explore it? Because musical worlds, especially the world of battle rap, did you know anybody at all involved in drum and bass, or was that like a kind of right? How do I get involved in this type of situation?
Yeah, I didn't know anybody at all. I trying to remember how I actually put this into effort. I think what I started doing was because I come from Anik, which is so isolated and so in the middle of nowhere, and it was just me, on my own, no money, no anything. Um, I just thought I'm going to be such an annoying, persistent presence on social media, posting videos of me just absolutely shelling it, doing whatever I can, that no one will be able to ignore me. I went through all of my Facebook friends and deleted anyone that didn't have anything to do with music, drum and bass. I started adding people who I saw did have stuff to do with that, and adding all of their mutuals, and just thinking I'm going to piss everyone off so much by not going away that things are going to, and they did. So that's my.
Brilliant, brilliant. Just being annoying eventually. Go on. And at what point then did things start to kind of take off? What opportunities came about from this social media pestering?
Um, Trying to think early time. Well, I got noticed by some artists in my local scene. It was the Newcastle scene, so still like an hour's drive away from where I lived. But thankfully, my dad, who's always been really supportive, used to take me through to gigs and things. I didn't realize this obviously at the time, but there's actually a really sort of supportive and cohesive hip hop and rap scene in Newcastle, and they supported me for a long time. And then I started to get noticed sort of further afield as well. I actually ended up doing a track with Mr. Traumatic, so that was a cool sort of full circle moment. And whenever they needed support acts in Newcastle or that area, I would get the call. So I've ended up supporting Verb T, that kid from High Focus,
Mm,
and that's really cool.
wow.
Started playing at local festivals like Soulfest in Lindisfarne. And yeah, just I think meeting the right people and being in the right place and continuing to push at it and not letting up.
Yeah, just that constant persistence, really, is why I've got "Don't Stop" tattooed on my knuckles. Because sometimes that's hard, I think, really, isn't it? When you're constantly going at it, and it's easy to wrap it up in a kind of interview like this, but this is over the course of years and years, isn't it? Really, of just kind of constantly being on it. So, at what point then did Dutty Moonshine come into all of this? Because you joined them officially like within the last year, really. I think during the autumn tour last year, but you've known them for a lot longer. You've collaborated with them, been on records, and guested as part of their live band for a lot longer anyway. So what was the journey there?
Well, I think it was 2022. I had never heard of Dutty Moonshine up to that point, but I've always had like a secret love for like jazz and swing. And so I just feel like it was kind of there was a tie there. And they were looking for someone to dep in for Maria at a festival. And I think I got tagged in the comments of a post asking, about female vocalists by a friend of mine, and I never thought that I would end up being, you know, chosen for this. But I got a message from Mike from Dutty Moonshine, and I remember how funny it was reading it. It was so to the point, which is what I just love about him. It was, "Hi Abby, Dutty Moonshine here. I'd like to talk to you about your vocal abilities. If you don't know how sick we are, ask your friends." And that is just so on brand.
Brilliant, brilliant.
I've been honestly their biggest fan ever since. And I made sure that I put my heart and soul into every appearance that I did with them as a guest. And it must have paid off because, I mean, now I'm in it, which is like, it was a dream for so long. And if I could go back and tell, like, past me that it actually happened, I think she would explode.
Oh, go on. That's lush. That's lush. And it's the beauty of hindsight there. But I bet there were some periods in between that where, you were seeing then, when Maria was back and they were doing things and you were kind of watching them, thinking like, oh, knowing how good it is, but it being kind of just out of reach. And I can relate to that when I did work experience with a magazine that I would go on to edit and stuff, but I did work experience and they said, we need somebody like you on board. One day maybe we can afford to hire you. And then there was months where I went back to driving a van and I was buying the magazine and I was seeing it and it's like I was knowing how good it was and that was the dream job that I really wanted and I had to wait for the call and eventually applied for the job and got it and then the next 10 years of my life was mapped out. But it's that having that taste can sometimes be excruciating when it's only temporary. And it's one of those moments in the life of an artist where you can be right up there and then because it's temporary. So to be able to to know how good it is, like you must appreciate it even more, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm really glad that you can relate to that also because it's such a specific feeling to have. I
Yeah.
remember the first run of festivals that I did as a guest, when it came to the last show, I wasn't sure if I would ever, have that again. And having, this experience being up on that stage with them and that energy, it was like a drug. It really felt like a high that I wanted to get back. So when it came to the last show that I thought I was going to do with them, I was getting so emotional. I was crying. It felt like at the end of Wizard of Oz
Oh,
when she's like, saying goodbye to everyone and she has to go back home to Kansas. That's how it
oh,
felt. Um,
oh.
yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah,
like not wanting the moment to ever end in that type of way then. What was the gap then in between those times then, in between that last gig and then eventually kind of getting the call? Or were there kind of other moments along the way, almost teasing you really? But from, I'd imagine from Dutty's point of view of just keeping good contact and developing a relationship with you, with an eye to you eventually coming onto the band when that was the right time, or affordability, or whatever, operationally it was to welcome you on full time, because now it's amazing. And there was a lovely moment when we were doing the demo drop and you and Maria were talking and you were both really excited for the summer because it's the first time you'll be touring with two women in the band. And I'd like just a bit of kind of more solidarity in that type of way, and it made me realize how all recent this has been for you. But yeah, were there other moments along the way which kind of teased you in terms of your kind of Dutty initiation?
oh, that's a good question. I mean, after that, when I thought it was going to be the last time, it wasn't because it's almost like I'd be doing my normal life, I would be doing my normal gigs, and it was fine, but I had a taste of what I wanted. And they would sort of light up the Abbey signal, and then I would come in every so often to depth for them, and I just think every time that happened, it felt like a gift from the universe. Um, and I've slowly got to know everybody more as I've done these sort of guest spots with them, and actually befriended the band as well. So it got to the point where not like it was normal, but it just felt kind of like familiar in a warm way, in like I feel welcomed kind of way. But I never had the inkling at all that it would end up like this, that I would actually be invited in full time. That was a complete surprise.
Oh wow, wow. So there was no conversation in the build up to this. You didn't know, like, and then suddenly, how was that information delivered? How was that request offered to you?
Oh, it was amazing. So it was the Glasgow date from the autumn tour that they've just done, well, last year. And Mike called a band meeting. And so we all went outside and he started with, it's been amazing having you guest for us, Abby, but you're not going to be doing that anymore. And I knew, I was like, this is some kind of ruse. And then he
Uh,
handed the paper and it said, will you join the big band full time? And honestly, I didn't know what to say. Obviously, I said yes, but there's a video of it actually that Beth from InShot Media captured and put it in the sort of tour recap. And I just like watched that and I see my face, just total disbelief. It was a really, really special moment.
Oh, that's lush. I'm literally sizzling in goosebumps. Like, that's amazing. That's so cool. And yeah, in a way that I can completely relate to as well. So this was really meant to be. And now, as you said at the start of the interview, you've actually moved, you've moved hundreds of miles. This is to be part of the band, also connected with Banshee and just loads of other stuff. And that, it's just a lot more connected in Bristol than it is all the way up north. Like, just in terms of saving you travel time, like, this is a life changer, isn't it, for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've always enjoyed the traveling back and forth, but it just makes sense. It was always on the cards anyway, I think, for me to move to a place where there's more going on. I feel like I've done the Norths now to a degree. I'll always go back and I'll always, be open to seeing people and doing shows there if and when I can. But it was always something that I knew if I'm going to take this as seriously as I want to, I need to be somewhere that's more connected. And Bristol was definitely at the top of the list anyway. So I actually did speak to Mike from Dutty Moonshine about this in the summer before I knew that this was on the cards and I would be
Oh,
joining the band.
wow.
Yeah, and he sort of emphasized to me how important it would be for me to do that. So now it's finally happened and it's all come around so quick, but I'm glad that I've managed so far.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. And like I said at the start, like it really feels like things have kind of come together for you at this period. And you do get these moments in your career where it's like, wow, that the hard work has been worth it. And now you've got, Banshees out, you've got a summer, I would imagine, laced with all types of gigs and interesting things and stuff. How does this compare, this period in, like kind of spring? I mean, it's actually been a really shitty rainy day, but when I was putting these questions together, we just had like 3 or 4 days of really nice sun. So, I felt like the summer was a lot closer than it is today. I could literally hear the tiles moving around on the roof above me at the moment. Yeah, but how does this compare to maybe last summer or a couple of summers ago and other kind of spring seasons in the career trajectory of Abi Nyxx?
Well, I remember in previous years, I would be looking forward to, say, like 5 or 6 festival bookings, and I would think, wow, what a crazy festival season this is going to be. I'm going to be so busy. And now I look at the calendar and it's absolutely full, and I'm like, no, this is going to be a crazy festival season. And it's not just that either. Of course, we've got tours and things to look forward to, like the mini tour that we're doing with the quartet at the minute. Um, and it's just, but it feels right. It's what I've always wanted. Performing is my favorite part of all of this, being on stage and in the atmosphere with the audiences and, on stage with the people that I'm working with. It's just right. It feels right. And I'm sure that I don't even know yet just how amazing it's going to be because this is my first year, you know, being so busy and I'm very much looking forward to it.
Go on, that's amazing. Absolutely love that. And I was going to ask you what your favorite Dutty moments have been so far, but maybe you've already had that, like when they asked you to join and giving you that bit of paper and stuff. But what other kind of moments have really stood out? And also tell me about the quartet as well, because the quartet's a pretty new thing and a whole other kind of side to Dutty Moonshine, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So start with my favorite dirty moments. That was definitely one of them, obviously, when I was asked to join. Definitely. I think other things that stand out is I always love playing my home festival, Lindisfarne, with the big band. It was one of the shows that they always used to get me on for because it's just down the road from where I used to live. And, seeing people in the audience that I know that have no idea about what I've been doing because, small town mindset, whatever, and
Oh,
just seeing that,
totally.
yeah, that's always amazing and makes me feel very proud. Um, there's a song called Bring the Fire that we do, which is a drum and bass track with sort of like vocals on it that Maria does. But when we perform it live, we both harmonize and sort of swap lines and things. That's always a favorite thing for me because, like I say, I was her biggest fan watching them and being like the understudy, I suppose, for a while. It's just amazing to get up there and sing with her. Um, and Oh, so before I did my first guest appearance with the big band, they actually had me and MCP, who was also filling in, come out to one of their shows in Bristol and just watch it from the audience to see sort of what we were getting into. I remember looking at that and thinking, "Oh my God, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. We have to do this tomorrow." But it's just that was my first time witnessing the miracle of Dutty Moonshine Big Band. That.
Go on, that's amazing. And now, like speaking of kind of watching shows and stuff like, there's a whole other level, isn't there? On May, I'm going to say May the 16th. I've got no notes or no dates in front of me, but I think have I got it right?
Yeah,
Is it May
yeah,
the
yeah.
16th? Go on, and that stage that looks fucking bonkers.
Oh, I know, I know. It was seeing the message in the WhatsApp group saying, "Serious question: is anyone scared of heights?" And thinking, "What on earth could this be about?" And then seeing that stage plan, it's going to be incredible. I mean, I did the anniversary show with Dutty Moonshine last year, and that was amazing as well. They had it was at the Bristol Beacon with a full orchestra behind us. And I think I'm getting the idea that for these anniversary shows, it's always like pulling out all the stops, and everyone's worked really hard to get it, to that point. And I just can't wait to see that stage plan in real life. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah, it looks absolutely insane, and it's beautiful to see because Maria was explaining it's probably a one-off. You know, it's not. This isn't going to be part of like the Dutty Moonshine production or anything. It's literally a magical moment to say thank you for the fans, really, isn't it? And I think like the more I talk to you guys about it, and because of our involvement with Banshee, Dutty seem to be popping up on my feed all of the time now, because of algorithms and stuff. But it's great. It's been really interesting and exciting to see that in real time. I want to come to the gig. Like, were you at the WOMAD show? Were you performing with the band at WOMAD a couple of years ago? Because that's the only time I've seen Dutty Moonshine, and that was a real moment for me and my family. It was like one of the first bands that were opening up the Friday, and we were having a dance off with another family, and it was just like you're in one of those rare bands that can bring so many different generations together and so many different genres, and without compromise as well. And those bands are hard to find. They don't come around very often, do they?
Yeah, no, it's one of the things that I love about being in it. You know, you never know who's going to be a Dutty Moonshine Big Band fan, because it could be anyone. It's a really diverse fan base from what I've seen, which is really cool. You meet all sorts of people that just know about the music, and then yeah, get to feel all, well, actually.
Go on, that's amazing. And then the quartet, which is like everything kind of reduced down, but it's just the more dancier side.
So it's me and Maria and Mike Dutty Moonshine and Binge as well, who's the coolest guy
Brilliant.
around. And it's sort of just a setup where it's two DJs and two MCs, and we just go at it. Like it's very high energy the whole way through. Um, yeah, I've only done one of the quartet shows so far down in Guildford, but we've got more coming up, as I say. And yeah, it's sort of more of a classic kind of, like I say, DJ MC setup, but it really works. I think it was a great idea, whoever came up with that, to have the quartet.
Yeah, yeah, because I'd imagine with 13 members in a band that it's not always practical or possible to get everybody together. So it means that Dutty Moonshine can have these other kind of avenues to explore or represent in that type of way, really. So back to Banshee, do you think, and now with you in Bristol as well, do you think that you guys are going to get together and do another tune or anything like that? Are there already talks between the four of you?
We've not said anything as a group, but I really, really, really hope that we do something else. I really do. I think it would be a waste not to, knowing what we can do. And now with us all being sort of ish in the same area, I feel like there's no reason why it can't happen, and it should.
Brilliant. That's amazing. So I've got two requests of you now to sign out. Thank you so much for your time. I know you're quite tired from moving down to Bristol and you're feeling a little bit under the weather. So you might not be as happy with one of them. But last time we spoke, you did a really, really awesome impression of an angry Pikachu. I think in the spirit of this interview and everything that you've achieved and the journey that we've just been celebrating just now, I want to hear a happy Pikachu.
Okay, 1 second. It might not be my best, and I'm just sorry to my landlord if you can hear this through the walls. I'm normal, I promise. Okay. Pikachu!
Brilliant. Awesome. That's cool. So how are we going to finish this interview then? You had the crazy baked bean question at the start. How are we going to start the next interview?
It might seem a little bit basic, but I'm genuinely curious about this. So for whoever gets this question, if you had any superpower, what would it be, and would you use it for good or for mischief? Not evil, but mischief.
Oh, yeah. Really, really important line there. Wow. You got me thinking. I'd definitely use my superpower for mischief, without a doubt. Amazing. Abby, thank you so much for your time. It's been amazing working with you on Banshee. And hopefully, if you guys get together and write another tune, then we would love to release that as well, if that was a thing, if that ever happens. So, yeah, it's really cool to be working with you. I will see you again really soon. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks.
We don't fuck with no setback. We just kill it, we never gotta beg that shit. Wanna sit with us? As is. Banshee squad and toe. Never gonna level with the way I blow. Didn't mean me, put my knees, oh no, think about it. The queens of the race, 3, 2, 1, go.